Welcome to this episode of Leaders Building Bandwidth. And today we're talking about emotional fluency. So, emotional fluency is the most important aspect of any personal development journey. My definition of emotional fluency is your ability to identify or recognize, understand, and regulate your own emotions, as well as recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of those around you. Not in a manipulative way, but when you can sense other people's emotions, you can better relate and interact with them. And when you can recognize, understand, and regulate your own emotions, you're able to behave in a way that is healthy and that puts your life in a completely different trajectory. Now, this is really crucial because we don't learn the skills in a systematic way anywhere else. We don't learn how to regulate our emotions at school. We don't learn how to recognize and let alone understand our emotions. Typically, we grow up in environments where not only the people who raised us didn't really understand their own emotions, they didn't have any frameworks or understanding of a healthy way of treating themselves or dealing with their emotions. I mean, there are exceptions, obviously, but as a whole, as a society, we don't learn these things. I don't like the word emotional intelligence. I use the word emotional fluency, and I'll tell you why. I speak 5 languages. I speak 4 languages fluently, and the 5th one is not as fluent as I'd like it to be. And the reason why I don't like the word intelligence is because there's this selective connotation to intelligence, right? I remember when I was growing up, people were talked about based on how intelligent they were or were not, right? It's selective. Some people are intelligent, some seem not to be, this is a complete lie, by the way. Everyone is intelligent and everyone has the ability to learn and to grow and to expand. This is the whole purpose of life, but that's a different topic. But when we talk about fluency, like learning a language, anyone can learn a language. And the 2 requirements for learning a language is number 1, willingness, so to be willing to learn the language. And number 2 is exposure. And both of them need to be in place. I don't know about you, but for example, I have my first language is Spanish. My background, I was born in Puerto Rico, and that's the first language that I learned. And I have some family members who live in the United States, and they've been in the United States for over 35 years and they still don't speak English, right? So they are in the right environment. They're in the right context. They have exposure, but there's no willingness to learn the language. On the other hand, for me, for example, I started learning German after uni. I worked for this company where I used to give Spanish and English lessons. And I started learning German because I kind of liked the language and how it sounded. But because there was no exposure, I had no one to speak to and to practice it, then I didn't learn it, right? It never stuck. And I still can count and I can say things like a big and a small dog, but that is not fluency. So in the same way, I really do believe that anyone who has the desire and the willingness to be fluent when it comes to emotional fluency and has the right exposure and the right information and the right support, anyone is able and capable to learn to be emotional fluent. So this is why emotional fluency matters, because number 1, it will improve your relationships. When you understand and you can express your own emotions effectively, when you can interpret and respond to other people's emotions effectively, this will lead to better communication. It will lead to more empathetic interactions with other people. It will lead to stronger relationships with others around you. The second thing is it leads to a better mental health. So when you are fluent in your emotions, it helps you to manage stress, manage anxiety, manage the strong emotions that really affect you in a way that is effective. When you're emotionally fluent, you can recognize and address your emotional states, and that will lead to healthier coping mechanisms and a more positive mental outlook. The next thing that it will help you do is enhance your ability to make decisions. And as a leader, as a parent, as a human, you have to learn how to make balanced decisions that are not just influenced by your emotions, right? So when you are emotionally fluent, you're able to make more rational and considered choices. And this will help you navigate difficult situations where emotions might otherwise cloud your judgment. And we don't want that. The third reason why emotional fluency is important is because it will help you when you're in conflict with other people. Your ability to understand and respect other people's feelings is so crucial in managing and resolving conflicts at work, in family situations, everywhere. And so by acknowledging and addressing these emotions, you can de-escalate conflicts and find solutions that respect everyone's emotional needs. And then lastly, why this matters is because in your leadership role, your ability to inspire and motivate your team, manage stress, create supportive work environments is all based in your ability to understand your team dynamics and to be able to read the room. And when you're emotionally fluent, then you're way more capable of creating an environment for your team that is really effective in order to manage your career, your success in your work, in addition to your technical skills. Emotional fluency is a fundamental skill that will strengthen your interactions with others and that will boost your professional success. Emotional fluency is a journey. It's not something that you just go to a training session and you learn emotional fluency. So let's say you're 50 years old. You have 50 years of conditioning, of automatic responses, of commitment to triggers. There's a wiring that has taken place over years. And so it's going to take a journey for you to learn to identify your responses, because right now, most of the time, they'll be running you instead of you really identifying them. Emotional fluency, it's the same as a language. When you start learning a language, first you recognize the sounds. You become familiar with what it sounds like, right? I remember when I was learning English when I was a kid, I used to listen to music in English. I used to listen to Madonna in English, and I used to sing the words without really understanding what I was saying. But when I was singing along, I was familiarizing myself with the sounds, with the way that the language flows, right? So there's this first stage in fluency. You just learn how it sounds, and then you recognize the words. You recognize this thing means this word, and you're able to associate a word with a sound, and then you're able to formulate sentences, and then you're able to have conversations. But you need to build your vocabulary, right? It's the same thing with emotional fluency. You can't just get it in one day from one lesson. French is my second language. If I give you one French lesson, you're not going to learn French. That's not how it works, right? There's a journey that you need to respect and understand, but it starts with self-awareness. Recognizing and understanding your own emotions and understanding how they affect your thoughts and your behaviors. Recognizing what type of thoughts create the emotions that you're feeling. Recognizing the way that you respond to fear, to specific triggers, to specific situations in your life and in your context. That is the first step of emotional fluency. Once you can identify how your emotions show in different situations, the next thing you can do then is to learn to self-regulate them. So self-regulation, it's all about managing and redirecting your emotions and impulses in a way that is healthy and effective for you. That takes time. The third thing is motivation, which is all about harnessing your emotions to pursue goals with energy and persistence so that you don't give up, so that you can hold space for yourself, hold the energy that is required to get certain things done that are going to get you where you want to go. The fourth thing when it comes to emotional fluency is empathy, which is all about recognizing and considering other people's emotions. It's your ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to put your own viewpoints to the side and see someone else's way of viewing life, of viewing a situation, of viewing a circumstance. Your ability to do that is so powerful and is essential when it comes to developing interpersonal relationships at work, in your family, with your spouse or partner. Empathy is one of the skills that some people have as an innate strength and some people don't. And then the other part of emotional fluency that really matters is social skills, which is all about managing your relationships with other people to move people in a desired direction, whether it's in leading, negotiating, or working as part of a team, or in social settings. For me, like, I work with a lot of international clients. And so the way that, for example, Germans view work is completely different to the way that Spanish people view work, right? And so being able to read the room and understand social context and constructs, and being able to make decisions and speak in a way that would be effective based on the social setting that you find yourself. These are things that are all inside of mastering emotional fluency. And so the crux of the work that we do is to help leaders own emotional fluency and be able to carry relationships with their leaders, with their peers, with their subordinates, within their personal lives in a way that is balanced and enhances their personal well-being and strengthens your interactions with other people in order to boost their professional success. Okay, as usual, let me know what you think about this episode. Let me know your thoughts about emotional fluency. If you go to the show notes, there's a link there where you can leave me some feedback. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.